Hello and welcome to a special edition of Ringside Fracas. I'm your host Naeem, and today we've got the undisputed, heavyweight championship fight of the world between Alexander Usyk and Daniel Dubois. So we thought, why don't we just give you guys a fight day preview, a special podcast so that we can cover this big event and one of the biggest fights of the year. And of course, if we're going to cover one of the biggest fights of the year, we have to get the regulars on. So of course, we to my left, I've got the president of the PBC operations, Sams. Sams, how are you, bro?
Oh, you might have lagged out.
You might like that. I'll come back. I'll come back to it in a bit. And then we also big fights. So we got to get the big men. Chris, how are you, bro? Pause.
All good, man. yeah. All good, all groovy. Ready for the fight.
And of course, if it's an Usyk fight, we've got to get the Usyk super fan. Adam, how are you, bro?
Of course, yeah, kind of nervous for today, but excited same way. So can't wait to see a cracking fight.
Back your guy, man. This whole week, I've been seeing Adam say, "Oh, I've been nervous. I don't have a good feeling about this." Back your guy, man. Back.
No, you know what? I think it's much tougher fight than people think it is. I believe so. But yeah, back your guy. You're right. So I'll think about this without any emotional input at all, just from a logical standpoint.
And Sam, how are you feeling for today's big fight?
Yeah, man, it should be a good night of boxing. So
Yeah, it's a terrific night. And the fact is, I love the fact that we're getting stadium fights. We got one in obviously Wembley in when AJ and Dubois happened. We got another one this year. It's always good to have a Wembley stadium fight. It's always good to have these big fights happening on these shores because it keeps the sport healthy, especially in our country as well. So let's get straight into, of course, the big rematch. Alexander Usyk taking on Daniel Dubois again for the second time. Obviously, the first fight had a bit of controversy in the fifth round with the controversial low blow or body shot. Depends on who you ask. Loads of people have differing opinions, but a largely dominant and not as competitive affair where Usyk then ups the gears in round 7 to 9 and puts down Daniel Dubois from basically a jab / right hook. And Dubois had enough. It was a good night. It was a dominant performance from Usyk. Again, a bit of controversy, but here the rematches again has come about so that Dubois can put any questions that there are around that first fight. He can answer them again and rectify the wrongs that he believes happened from the first fight. Of course, if you go into a bit of background, since that fight, Dubois has made a brilliant comeback. He fought Jarrell Miller, Hrgovic, and AJ, and he stopped all three of them. All three fights he was underdogs in, and he still went and stopped all those guys in. And they were brilliant performances, some of the best performances we've seen from Daniel Dubois. And since then, Usyk has gone on to face Tyson Fury twice and became undisputed. Obviously, he had to relinquish his belt because AJ Dubois needed something for it to sell. And has shown that he's the top heavyweight of his era, and there's no one really out there that can be better than him now. You can say that's better than him now. So we've come back to this where Daniel seemingly, I don't think many people here are arguing that he does deserve a shot at the title. Obviously, there is Joseph Parker in the wings as well, but this is a great fight. I can't wait for it. I'm going to come to you, Chris, first. Your thoughts about the first fight, how it went, and how you think the second fight will transpire.
So my thoughts about the first fight, it went exactly how I thought it'd go, with the exception of two things, which were I didn't think nobody knew the low blow situation would happen, and then I actually didn't think he would stop Dubois. I feel like the signs were there that Dubois was there to be stopped. If you look at things like the Joe Joyce fight, Kevin Lorena, I think there were signs there that when the going got tough, he might have the propensity to, bow out of the fight. But I didn't think it would actually happen. But otherwise, I thought the right guy. I thought Usyk would win. I thought he'd be a bit too quick for him. He'd confuse him too much. He would show him angles, and he wouldn't let him set his feet enough to get those power punches in. Now, with this fight, I've been doing a lot of watching back on, Usyk fights, Dubois fights, And from what I've seen, and I know there's a lot of other people that agree with this, I don't think Dubois has changed that much technically. I don't think there's a night and day difference between the Dubois that fought Usyk the first time and now, even though he's got those massive wins since. What I do think has changed is his mentality, his mindset. So I feel like he's a lot more confident, and confidence can seep into your technique at times. If you're more confident, you're going to be able to throw, a stiffer jab or throw more often and more frequently. But ultimately, I don't think it's going to be enough. People think if Dubois catches him early and looking for these lucky shots, it's boxing, it can happen. Anyone can get hit with a big shot. But I just think with Usyk's age, he's gotten wiser. He's learned more about the division. He's been improving in certain aspects. You can say what you like about him being 38 and regressing physically, but I don't think he's regressed enough to the point where Dubois is going to be able to dominate him. And ultimately, I always side with the better boxer when it comes to these big major fights. The pressure's not going to get to Usyk. We know that for sure. Dubois, I don't think he understands the pressure, but I think once he gets in there and the things that he wants to do and his plans aren't working the way that they should be working, I feel like that's when the tide will change. And I think, Usyk is going to stop him. I think Usyk is going to stop Dubois later on in this fight. Obviously, we know Dubois hits hard, very, very hard, and he can catch anyone and drop anyone on this planet. But I think the smart money for me is a late Usyk stoppage.
Fair enough. That's a decent prediction. Samps, I can't remember. On the first fight, were you a low blow, or did you think it was a body shot? And then how do you think
I thought it was valid.
you thought it was a valid
Definitely
stoppage?
valid.
And so how did you think that first fight kind of, now that it's been like 2 years since, what's your thoughts coming from that? And also now going into this rematch, what are your thoughts?
Do I look at it? The only Dubois is a confidence fighter in it, and he's on a high, he's on a massive high, so that edges for him that he walks in there with a level of belief that I don't think he had the first time. I definitely think he believes himself now, which I think makes him more aggressive, and that aggressiveness could lead to Dubois being able to overwhelm Usyk in the first half. However, if that doesn't happen, then it's much about the same, business as usual. Because everyone knows that Usyk's engine, when he steps up a gear, he just puts you in a place where you're basically sinking. Like he puts you in deep waters and you sink. That's what we actually deep the last couple of fights against Fury and AJ. It was that step up that's just drowned him. And when he fought the bar, after he got hit by the low blow or the on point shot, and he recovered, and he just drowned him. And I don't think anyone's been able to deal with the mental aspect of what Usyk presents in front of you, or the physical pace that he then sets on top of it. And that's not. And I don't think we've seen anything to suggest that's gone away in the last fight against Fury. It was very much there, and as much as so, and if the bar goes and sets out early to try and dent him, which he has to do, and doesn't do it, he gets drowned.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's a lot of, especially that pace that Usyk applies. You knew it from the cruiserweight division times. Even there's not many that around those weight classes that can, step it up in rounds 7 to 12 the way he does. And I think he's one of the greatest rounds 10 to 12 fighters we've ever had. I mean, I remember the Garcia fight. I think he threw like almost 1,000 punches in that fight to beat him.
The same thing as well, because when he fought AJ and when he fought Fury, both AJ fights and Fury fights, the first Fury fight I stopped by after the first one. I always said about him being light and not having the whiskers to sustain the bigger guys and the rest of it, and he's absolutely shown that, mate, you're wrong. So that's a massive fact as well. His mental resolve is very high, and I think where he's settled into the weight now, you can see he looks like a fully fledged heavyweight. Like before, he looked a bit lighter. Yeah, he's very much heavyweight now. Like there's no middleman talk. We're not hearing that no more. Like that's gone and it's been retired, isn't it? So I need to apologize because on that front, because I used to proper get onto him about the fact that he quits when he gets hit downstairs and stuff like that, or it looks like he wants to quit. But I watched him against the biggest guys, and at some point, outstrengthened him and like outworked him. So yeah.
I mean, yeah, what you're talking about mental resolve as well is like, it seems like he has that kind of clutch gene that we talk about. Like, for example, when Mayweather has it, where, whatever situation you put them in, even if it doesn't favor them, they just somehow manage to dig in and find a way to win. And Usyk's shown that throughout his career, where he just finds a way to win. Even when it isn't going his way, he'll make it go his way eventually. It doesn't have to go to plan. He can switch it and make it come back towards him. So that'll be interesting to see how that transpires, especially this weekend, tonight. Adam, you've been the Usyk super fan. You've been watching him for quite a while. What about this fight, though, doesn't make you as confident as you were in some of the other fights that Usyk is going
into? I just see the age catching up to Usyk. The fleet-footedness isn't as much there as it was, in his earlier fights. I mean, I rewatched the Usyk AJ fight literally yesterday, and seeing the level of performance there compared to his last fight against Fury, which albeit was quite comfortable, I could see a drop in, Usyk's output and so forth. And we've gradually been seeing his punch output actually decrease bit by bit. As you mentioned, Gassiev, that fight he threw 1,000 punches. AJ first fight around 700, and then come to the Fury fight, we've seen around 400. So these are considerable drops in terms of punch output for the guy.
You say that Fury made him have to fight for a Leicester.
You could say that. But that probably has a factor in itself. But I do see like a regression in Usyk overall in general, and it's to be understood. The guy's 38, going on 39 now. But albeit in saying that, I think we've seen, because he's lost that fleet-footedness, he's been, planting his feet a lot more and actually throwing a lot more power shots. And I think that's why he actually looks more of a heavyweight now. He's, he's let the pounds pile on a bit. Not in a bad way, but he's let himself grow into the heavyweight division and has been planting his feet more. And he looks like he hits considerably harder in his last two fights than he did in his first couple of fights at heavyweight. So those are the things that would make me think Usyk, that coupling with the confidence gained with Dubois, and, boxing is a major confidence sport where if you have that momentum and confidence with you, you could accomplish anything. And I think those two variables coupled together could give Usyk trouble tonight. Although, in saying that, I think the first fight, Usyk versus Dubois, in my opinion, was Usyk's easiest fight in the heavyweight division. He controlled the pace from round one. And besides that controversial low blow, he just looked comfortable throughout. And you kind of saw, as soon as he got up from that low blow, he literally kicked it up a gear instantaneously after that and just suffocated Dubois. And Dubois couldn't handle that pace or pressure whatsoever. I don't know what would make me think he would be able to handle it now, besides the confidence, but it's like confidence isn't going to translate to that part of the fight and that part of boxing. And that was Dubois swarmed by round 9. If he goes past round 9, he's going to have 3 more rounds of just absolute pressure. And I don't know how Dubois is going to deal with it. If I was to look at everything subjectively, I think tonight Usyk actually wins by stoppage once again. So, but of course, Dubois is a big puncher. If he lands a similar shot that he did in Poland tonight, will Usyk get the call for a low blow, or will he be given a count? We don't know. These type of things could completely play into the whole fight. So there are a few variables, and even look at the rain, and are they going to close the roof from Wembley if it's a wet canvas? I know we spoke about this in the chat earlier today. If it's a wet canvas, that's going to go against Usyk because he relies on his feet a lot more, and could potentially slip or whatever. So there are loads of variables, but overall, I do think tonight is a fight that Usyk wins by stoppage. Just I think the sheer overwhelm in pressure and volume and pushing the pace is gonna get to Dubois, and especially if Dubois comes out strong and relentless from the first couple of rounds, he has to make sure he clears Usyk out in the first 6 rounds. Otherwise, it's just going to be an absolute downhill battle from there. And with him being exhausted already from a potential onslaught in the first couple of rounds, the fight's only going to go one way, really.
Yeah, I mean, with regards to how Dubois comes out, I mean, even the AJ fight, he came out quite quick and he put AJ on the back foot. But the one key thing that made him really go at that really well was in the, he was getting AJ to make loads of mistakes and going on the back foot. And AJ was pulling out with his head back and wasn't really boxing key. I think here will be key to put the pace on Usyk, but you have to be measured because it's not a guy who will make many mistakes. And you tend to often, when you're coming and you're kind of rushing, you make more mistakes because you're trying to force the action, you're trying to force the punches, you're trying to force your shots and everything. So, I think at this point, what should happen with Usyk with Dubois is there has to be a bit of measured control, but also ability with using your feet. You're not going to match Usyk foot for foot, but you should be able to have traps to trap him on the back foot and trap him into the ropes, so you have more leverage to land your shots and take the space away from him. But that lead hand is going to be quite key for Usyk, and it's going to be quite key for Dubois to get past. He's got a good jab himself.
He's got a very good jab, yeah.
But it's not, it's not the same level as Usyk, and Usyk will get past it, and Usyk's foot feints will really put the pace on him. What you say about the weather, yeah, I hope they close the roof on Wembley. I don't know if they ever do close the roof on Wembley, but I hope they do, because you don't want any wet canvas situation again, like that they were talking about when they had what's it called, when they had the first fight in Poland. I hope they don't have any cameras going around into the audience, because you never know which CEO is matching up with which head of HR, and they don't want it, they're watching the fights. You don't want to get them caught out as well, like Coldplay did. But anyway, but like it's you know what? It's a storm matchup. That's what's happening now. There's a storm brewing. That's what's actually happening, and I think there will be something that Dubois might do that will surprise us. I think he might surprise in terms of he does catch Usyk with something, but whether he wins or not is a difference. Is the difference? I think I like Chris said, I watched the previous 3 performances, and I see the same Dubois. It's the mistakes from the other guys, and I see the same Dubois, and I'm kind of like, you're more confident, and that carries a lot when it comes to fighting. The more confident you are, the better you do fight. In terms of actual technical ability, have you learned to get past the jab? No. I mean, let's be real. Hrgovic was catching him with the same right hands again and again. Even AJ, when he got dropped 3 times, AJ shouldn't be landing a big right hand that's pushing you back in the 5th round. That's a guy that should have been compromised by then, and you should have taken him out. Obviously, you did take him out. You can't discredit the performance. I'm just saying. Even the Jarrell Miller fight, this Jarrell Miller, who's defensively one of the easiest guys to hit, it's just he keeps coming forward. Usyk's completely different. And I think the ball game's different. Doesn't mean he can't win, of course. It's just you have to apply different tactics. But the way, he talks, and they're definitely going to target the body. It worked before.
100%. Yeah.
Spam shots every time Usyk comes in. But one thing is going to be quite key that no one really talks about Dubois. Going forward is fine. I think he has to get comfortable being able to go backwards, because Usyk is a very good aggressive fighter. And you can't get comfortable with that idea of landing a counter when Usyk comes in, being able to just settle backwards, get his space, and then land his right hand or his left hook when Usyk's coming in. It's going to be very tough for him, because he's not going to understand his distance once he's going back, and Usyk's going to be able to pivot off, get his combinations off, and do what he did in the last fight and drop him, from a hook or a jab. You're not going to become a Devin Haney type back foot boxer, but you have to get comfortable with the idea of being able to step back a bit and land a counter and land a shot, which I don't think they've worked on, because he countered AJ when he was on the back foot a bit, but that was basically a shootout, but he hasn't really worked on it as much as he should be working on it. So that's one key thing I think they've got to look out for in that fight. I think it'll be similar to the first fight. The first fight wasn't competitive. Outside of round 5, it wasn't competitive in the slightest. Dubois was just getting pinged off. He wasn't in the same league as Usyk. And then once the gears turned over, Dubois didn't win it again. I think one of the biggest key questions, I think Usyk wins by decision. I think it's by a bit of a wide decision, like a 9-3-ish, similar to how he did AJ in the first fight. One big question is, will Dubois quit again? I think that's one question. One of the things we mentioned, especially when Dubois quit twice, was that question will always come up in his career. It doesn't matter what he does in his performances and who he beats and whatnot. There'll always be that question of, when it gets tough, are you going to quit again? And obviously, the Hrgovic fight was a bit tough. He was getting cracked with right hands again and again. Even slightly, the Miller fight was a bit tough because of how much pressure he keeps applying. But here, it's a different sense of tough, because in those fights, you're landing too. So you've got a chance of beating them. You're in there and you're able to land something and hurt them. Especially with Hrgovic, for example, his adrenaline dumped after round 4 and he had nothing left to do. And the AJ fight never got tough for him, because it was round 1, he put AJ down, that's it. It was all his from there.
Yeah.
This is a different kettle of fish, because it's the guy who's going to build up a lead on you. But it's also going to make you think a lot. It's going to get you tired. You're going to be like, why is he over there? Why is he on that side? Why is he on this side? Why is there 10 punches now in my face in the last 10 seconds? I'm not seeing anything. And it's that, have I got the grit to stay in there and know that, okay, I can still hurt him. I can still do something in this fight. Or is he going to do what he did in the first fight and just, take a knee because he just can't handle it anymore? We talk a lot about Dubois' mental psyche, and, Chris talks about it a lot more often than me. But I think he is geeing himself up a bit in the last couple weeks when it comes to the media, where he's shutting down any talks of the first fight. Whenever anyone in the media, I've seen some of the interviews, whenever they talk about the first fight, what surprised you about him in the first fight? Or what went wrong in the first fight? He's like, oh, that's not now. We're in the big fight now. We don't need to talk about the big. He's completely erasing it from his history, which can be a good thing in terms of mentally, if you want to erase something like that. But I also think technically you need to look at it. Like, unfortunately, you need to look at your losses. You need to sit in it and be like, well, what went wrong? Like, like, why did I get beat bad? Why wasn't it competitive? And if he doesn't, and obviously he doesn't need to do that, his team doesn't need to do that. But his team's got issues already, because no one knows who's leading that team anyway. Is it Don Charles? Is it Stan Dubois? I mean, if it's Don Charles, he shouldn't be getting elbowed in the chest at face-offs by Daniel Dubois. But it's just odd. But I think, I just think it's one of those things. You build up a wall, but you realize a mental wall to help yourself build yourself up. But you realize quickly, once the pressure starts, it's not a brick wall, it's a paper mache wall. And I think it's going to crumble down. He hasn't been put in that position yet for it to crumble down, but I think it's going to crumble again. And I think you're going to see, you might not see him quit in terms of, oh, he takes a knee. I think you might see him quit in terms of the output just slows. And he just resigns himself to this point where, I can't do anything. I just can't get back in this. But it's a good fight. I can't wait. It's going to be interesting. So I'm going Usyk decision. Samps, you're going? You're muted.
Usyk, late stoppage.
Adam?
Usyk, late stoppage.
Chris?
Usyk, late stoppage.
If we're all wrong, this pod is useless and we got nothing to say. Anyway.
I mean, we were all wrong last time when it came to Dubois, so who knows?
Yeah, I mean, he's been the underdog, so I got to give him credit. He's been consistently the underdog, and he's proven a lot of people wrong. To get to this position where he is right now is really good for him. And if he becomes undisputed, credit to him. Like, he keeps proving people wrong, and he keeps upsetting the odds. So fair enough. And it's going to be a great fight. I can't wait.
Yeah.
One thing I know, because this is our favorite fighter we love to talk about on the undercard. I wanted to get your thoughts on it. Obviously, Lawrence Okoli weighing in at 262 pounds. I think he's heavier than. Is he heavier than Dubois? I can't remember what Dubois.
Yeah, he is. He is.
Okay,
Dubois came in at 243. So
yeah, so heavier than Dubois, almost as heavy as like Tyson. Heavier than
20
AJ.
pounds heavier than Dubois.
yeah.
Even heavier than AJ, I think.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's fighting Kevin Lerena. This was a fight that was meant to happen at Bridgerweight. Obviously, Bridgerweight is not a real division, but hey, people believe in Santa Claus, so. It was meant to happen at Bridgerweight, but obviously it didn't. Now it's happening at heavyweight. Kevin Lerena, you know, a lot of people don't know about him, but he's a decent little, stocky little operator. Like he fought Justice Hooney, and he hurt Justice
rocked him.
He should have won the
him in
fight.
the
in my
10th round.
opinion. I thought he won the fight. I thought Hooney was very lucky to get away with that performance. He fought Rozansky. He fought loads of guys, and he's given them loads of issues. And the way his build is, I'm like, you know, if he gets close to Okoli, because Okoli likes to keep his distance, that 1-2 and whatnot. If he gets close though, he's got the shorter hands, he's got the hooks. He can really hurt him. And remember, this is a guy that put Dubois down 3 times in the first round. But the problem Lerena has a lot of the times when you see these type of fights where he loses, he's always in a winning position to lose. And I can see that happening here where he's in a winning position with Okoli, not giving him a lot of space, using hooks, staying on the inside, really troubling him the same way like Billum Smith did with him. But then, you know, getting careless, getting reckless, and allowing Okoli to keep that 1-2 and maybe getting caught with something and drop. It's an interesting fight because Okoli coming at 262 means he's not going to have the same mobility that he has normally. And I feel like there's a lot on the line for Okoli because you lost to CBS. You kind of proved to everyone that you're not worth watching. This is kind of the resurgence they're trying to do because they want to get him back into the heavyweight scene. Obviously, they wanted to do a fight with Dillian Whyte at some point. They want to do something with him at heavyweight. And this is going to be a big fight for him to take in terms of progression. So I'm interested to see how it goes. Sams, your thoughts on Mr. McDonald's eating the McDonald's and becoming 262 pounds?
I don't know what that guy's on, man. Like honestly, he's lost his. I don't understand how you've done this big success story. You talked about obviously how you was once working at McDonald's and you was 300 pounds overweight. He weighed. You got yourself down to revert to type. Like I really don't get that. Like I get, yeah, he was stepping into a heavyweight division. He was always gonna go that way eventually. But why have you gone so far left? This is just like a discipline and dedication to what you're meant to be doing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very odd. His career has been very odd. I mean, I remember while he was at cruiserweight, he gained weight and then lost it, so he could prove his Okoli Fit app actually worked. So it's quite odd the stuff that he does.
Yes.
Yeah,
very much like. Let's be honest, he's overachieved in it, so I don't really got much thoughts on him, man.
Adam, your thoughts on Okoli? Basically, he's almost twice my size, but yeah, bloody hell, he's huge. What's your thoughts on that?
I mean, he was originally a fat kid, isn't it? So he's just reset it to factory settings, I guess. What more can I say, man? Think it's going to be a tough fight. I hope the weight helps him in there, but I don't see how it's going to help him. Just carrying around that much flesh, he doesn't look good at that weight one bit either. It's just maybe it will make him more durable, but besides that, I don't see how it improves his boxing at all. So yeah,
Chris.
Lawrence is one of those guys, man, where I don't even know, man. He's just fat now. But what I will say is that compared to how he looked in his first outing when he first put on the weight against I can't remember the guy's name.
Mohammed Hussein or something like that.
Yeah, Mohammed Hussein. Compared to that, that guy. He does look a lot more in shape. I know he's roughly around the same weight, but he does look, his midsection looks a little bit more controlled. So it's not nearly as bad. He seems to have done a bit of a body recomp. I watched an interview he did where he said he is kind of watching what he's eating, but he's not like checking the scales very often. And you can kind of see that in the way he looks. I feel like his style does suit the heavyweight division right now, because I feel like right now heavyweight division doesn't really have too many technicians, not too many technical fighters who are like fight with guile and wits and whatnot. So he can get that big punch. He is a bit of a maybe like a Wilder-esque kind of fighter, where he's not the most skillful. He's more skillful than Wilder is, but he throws that long right hand, and if he does land on Lorena, the problem with Lorena is, like you said, he'll bottle a winning position. He might rock a Coley, but he's not good at finishing off fights. He's not good at putting pressure on his fighters when they're in compromised positions, and he just always gives an out for his opponents to find their way back into a fight. So, like, my prediction would be like it'd be a Coley stoppage, but it's a lot closer than people are making out. And I feel like you said, if Lorena does get on the inside, he does throw, like, I've seen him throw. He catches a shot and he throws really quickly afterwards. And he throws some looping right hands and left hands, actually. So I could see him getting on the inside and rocking a Coley. And we still don't know where Coley's chin really is, because going down the way he went down to Billum Smith was a bit of a surprise for me, if I'm being honest. So I will go for a Coley stoppage, but the inverse wouldn't surprise me. For me, it's a lot closer than the Usyk fight, for me, in my opinion. So
yeah, that's fair enough. I can't wait. I think it's a good fight. I wanted to see it at Bridgerweight, and the one thing, like you said, while Okoli's frame does seem to might fit the heavyweight division a bit more, Lorena is a cruiserweight as well. So this is going to be an interesting matchup, because he will be able to apply the speed he needs to at that weight, because he won't be too big, he won't be too heavy, and it'll be interesting to see how Coley deals with it today. So it'll be a good fight to watch. Well, it depends. If Coley starts hugging, then it won't be that good to watch. But let's see. Okay, so across the border, we've got more fights going on, and the biggest fight, of course, I don't want to go into too much detail because I genuinely don't give a crap about this. It's a clown show, but I know you guys have got your thoughts, so I'm going to ask you about it. Of course, Manny Pacquiao at 46 is making his return to fight with WBC welterweight champion Mario Barrios. It's a clown show. In my opinion, a 46-year-old who's coming off a loss, who hasn't fought in 3 years, should never be able to fight for a world title. It doesn't matter how much money there is on the line, but money talks, and that's why he's here. There's even rumors that Mayweather's in town, because they're having discussions where if Pacquiao wins, then they might look at doing Pacquiao versus Mayweather again for the WBC title. So loads of clown shows on display. Sam, so I'm going to come to you, because I know this Pacquiao Mayweather is up your alley in terms of your expertise and all of this. What's your thoughts about a 46-year-old Manny Pacquiao making a return against Mario Barrios?
I want him to get stopped. I want him to get stopped, put out, and done with it. Because if we start talking about Mayweather versus Pacquiao again, honestly, like, we don't need that, man. The era's come and done, and like, you guys have robbed the bankers enough as it is. Leave it alone. Like, stop being greedy. But I understand, obviously, Pacquiao has illegitimate children and gambling and so forth. So maybe that's, and obviously on top of it, you had Bob Arum run your career. So, and then you're paying out and not getting paid what you should be paid. So the money might not stretch in it, which is why he's returning back after so many years out. So it's a bit peak for him. But the fact that you can walk into a world title shot is insane. I'm so sorry. That's madness. And you know it's undeserved. So as far as I'm concerned, go on there, get your stoppage, get your check, call it a day before it gets silly. It's already silly. And Pacquiao didn't look good in the last fight. So and that was 3 years ago. And Father Time is still Father Time. And Barrios is a young, hungry guy who's been on the rise. I mean, like we watched him mature a lot. So this to me is quite dangerous. It's quite irresponsible, and it's clearly nothing more than a money grab on all sides. And we're putting money before everything. It's silly, man.
I
But he
mean,
did look good on the skills. I'm saying that.
no, he looks great for a 46-year-old, but you can't knock Jake Paul for fighting Mike Tyson, and then a couple months later, you get a 46-year-old to make a comeback against a proper world champion boxing, a world boxing champion. So it's just stupid. It shouldn't be happening. If Barrios has anything about him, he should win this. I think he'll probably carry Pacquiao to the end just because of respect and the fact that this will be easy enough for him to win without having to stop.
Like that. Go and get that scout, man. Get Pacquiao carrying in your
but if Barrios loses, honestly, I don't know, retire. Like Barrios would have to retire. I don't know, go become a janitor in some school somewhere. Like honestly, this is not like if you lose to this guy who's off for 3 years, who's a 46-year-old. There's not he fought Ugas. Ugas technically isn't a better fighter than Pacquiao. You could just see it was a young guy versus a very old guy, and that was the reason why Pacquiao lost. He couldn't keep up with the pace. He couldn't keep up with the speed. Barrios has that. Barrios is not great, but Barrios is more than good enough to beat someone like 46-year-old Manny Pacquiao. It's a clown show. The commission should be ashamed. The WBC should be ashamed. All they want is money, and they ruin the integrity of the sport every single year with some new nonsense. Here's another new nonsense that they've added on. Adam, your thoughts on a 46-year-old making his return?
Yeah, so first off, I like that janitor joke. I think it went over people's heads. Great respect for that. Listen, honestly, this is a fucking clown show. This is... And don't get me wrong, I'm like a massive Pacquiao fan. Pacquiao was my GOAT, yeah, but this is horrendous. The WBC should be absolutely ashamed. Pacquiao, for this is prostitution, in my opinion. And as bad as it is, I want him knocked out purely because of how bad of a shit show this is. This fight shouldn't be happening whatsoever. And to have one of the belts held up in the division over this, and you've got Pacquiao coming in at 46, over 3 years out of the ring, and getting a shot at the title right away, it's diabolical. It just sums up WBC as a whole. I think everything about that organization pisses me off, and I've got no nice words about it. And even though Pacquiao was like my favorite growing up and probably the boxer that got me into boxing and loving the sport, that's going to be the second fight on watch today. I'm going to prioritize watching Bam over that Pacquiao fight, just because for me that loves boxing and wants the sport to have integrity. This is everything against that and against those principles. So yeah, not one positive thing to say about this. If Barrios loses, like you said, he should go become a janitor or make burritos at Chipotle, whatever occupation suits him best. That's all I can say, man. Yeah.
Okay.
That's all I can say, man. Yeah.
Yeah, man. We're never making it out. But anyway, Chris, your thoughts on Pacquiao Barrios quickly, please.
I don't know, man. In theory, it should be a routine win for Barrios. I don't know if he'll get a stoppage because I don't know where Pacquiao is at this point in time. But we need to move on from a lot of these past legends, man. Manny did what he did. He was at his best probably about 20 years ago. Maybe a little bit shorter than that. But it's why he's taking this. It just makes no sense to me. Do you need money that badly?
Yes.
Is there nothing else you can do? I'm sure he could get into promotions in the Philippines, and he could build himself. He's got enough love and enough of a following to do other things. You know what I mean? You don't have to do boxing.
Cash grab, man.
Bro,
Shit running
honestly,
dry.
open up a restaurant or something. Like you
Yeah,
got all the
Honestly,
that's all
man,
slow money.
he's got all the buzz in the world in that country. Like
All slow
I
money.
get it, but the thing is, if you really wanted to do this, if he'd kept boxing this entire time, right? You know, especially after the Thurman win, and he just kept it consistent and he just kept fighting, I'd probably have a bit more of an understanding. But he took a massive break. He went to go do all sorts of different things. Now he's what? Is he broke again? I don't know. I don't know what's
Yes.
happening.
Just
It's
remember,
just
he
a
tried to run
cash
for
grab.
president and he failed.
Yeah,
He tried to
that's
be president and he
expensive.
failed.
No, yeah, probably.
Campaigns
Oh,
are
God.
expensive, and not succeeding, not
Look, all we
succeeding
know,
is a waste of money.
he
And
just doesn't
again,
make any good decisions, bro.
illegitimate children are costing money. The people that he
That was.
funds
But
are
I'm
costing
wait,
trying to
wait,
get
wait,
away with
wait,
that.
hey, hey, Sam,
How much did I'm not trying to be rude. How much does it cost to raise a kid in the Philippines?
bro.
Let's be real. It's not like he's raising them in central London, bro.
Hey, listen.
Or San
When the
Francisco, bro.
when the mother of the
It's the
kids is saying that,
Philippines,
listen,
bro.
yo, Manny Pacquiao, I want to slice that percentage. That go
It's
get
the
costly.
Philippines. It's not like they're gonna come after him for for the money for the kids in the Philippines.
It gets
No,
costly.
they're not chasing him in the Philippines, bro. Pacquiao has to kill someone before anything happens to him.
You know what I do know is that by round 3, yeah, you're
Yeah.
gonna get that I can't remember the guy's name, but his boy rubbing his calf, saying my calves are tight. The guy's
Oh
done.
yeah. You know what it is about Pacquiao, yeah. You know what it is a lot about these older fighters, yeah. They can be good. They can be almost 80% of what they were at their best, yeah. For like 2-3 rounds.
Yeah, it's gonna look amazing.
Do you know what I mean? They can look amazing for 2-3 rounds. They can really roll back the years. And then
Or 30
they
seconds that
age.
Mike Tyson did.
Yeah. And then the age kicks in about round 4, round 5, and then they're done. They're done. They're completely done. They can't train the same. They don't have the same punch resistance. They don't have the same energy reserves. The only reason it's even a discussion as to how this goes is because Barrios is terrible. Barrios is he's just not a great fighter. It shouldn't be a discussion. We shouldn't be having to think about possibilities and realities where Pacquiao can win, because the sad thing is there's a chance he could win. There is a big chance he could win this fight. And then what does he do? What is he going to defend? Is he going to defend the title? It just doesn't make sense, man. It's not even really worth a discussion, really. I think.
I
And
can't lie.
the Mayweather thing, I don't even want to talk about that.
Yeah.
That's why I want to lose bad as well. I don't want to hear any of that.
Yeah.
I can't lie.
I don't want Mayweather getting another payday off of Pacquiao either. So
If Mayweather wants to fight someone, go fight Amir Khan.
hey, there we go. They both retired, right?
He ducked him for a reason. But anyway, no. If Pacquiao really wanted to become world champion, there's one guy he could have taken on, Rolly. Rolly's a legit world champion right now at welterweight because Boots moved up. Rolly's the WBA champion. Just move up. just fight him. I'd give Pacquiao a big chance to beat Rolly. Rolly's not
I
that
think
good.
Rolly knocks him out.
Nah, I think
Rolly knocks him out. Rolly's terrible, but
Not that
hits
terrible.
hard.
he knocks out Pacquiao.
Yeah.
Eventually, he will land.
But yeah, it's a shit show. For me, the main event is the one that's underneath it, which is a very good fight. I think a lot of people not been talking about, which is obviously Sebastian Fundora taking on Tim Tszyu again to defend his title. I mean, the first fight was fun. The first 4 rounds, Tszyu was really pinging off Fundora's head. It looked like it was just going to be another Tszyu decision win. He was just pinging him off, landing hard shots, and Fundora was, couldn't adjust because Fundura's Fundura. He only comes forward. He's quite aggressive. He's not really that defensive, and he was getting pinged off. But you know, with the height difference and Fundura's long limbs, Sue, you know, basically ran into a headbutted Fundura's elbow, and that tore that big gash over the top of his head, but all the blood started leaking over his face. And he's just, you could just see while he's fighting, he's dabbing his face because there's just blood going into his eyes, and he's trying to fight. And Fundura changes the tactics, starts using his jab and reach because he realizes, I don't need to fight him because he can't see me. I can just see out the rest of the rounds and not give him the opportunity to land. And Fundura won the fight. But there's always that kind of question mark of what would have happened had the cut not happened and the blood seeped over Sue's eyes. And here we are with the rematch, and it's going to be a fun rematch. Both guys, I think, you know, Sue had a very terrible 2024 where obviously he lost to Fundura, and then he got a chance to fight Murtazalia for his title, and Murtazalia absolutely destroyed him and demolished him. I mean, left hook exposed all the defensive flaws that Sue has, and really it was a bad battering, similar to the AJ Dubois battering. It was like it wasn't competitive from the first round, and it should have got called way earlier than the last knockdown. But he's come back this year, fought Joey Spencer, looked okay, looked normal. But this is the big test to see whether or not Sue is really back up there again. And Fundura came back also this year because he got screwed around by Errol Spence and his team because they were meant to make that fight last year, but obviously Errol Spence is too busy doing something on a boat in a yacht doing push-up competitions.
Losing press-up competitions. The state.
Man. When I saw that, like I was feeling, bro. I was thinking, I can't.
The second-hand embarrassment, yeah.
You had free will and you posted that by choice. That's insane.
You didn't even look close to winning that push-up competition, you know.
Just say you're done. Just say you're done. Like, actually say you're done, because now you're annoying them, man. Like, you're like, we're in 2025. I still haven't watched that fight back.
I swear it's the 2-year anniversary any one of these days, right?
Next week.
Yeah, it's coming up.
Yeah. Don't worry, we know the date, 29th of July. Sam's knows the dates as well. He knows the dates. But yeah, so ever since, because remember, he got in the ring with Fundura and they were saying, oh, we're going to do it in Texas and whatnot. And then they just screwed around with whatever was behind the scenes and never got done. So he came back this year as well against Cordell Booker. Again, looked like Fundura does. These are not great opponents. There's not really much you can take away, but these are the big fights. And I think it's a good fight. I think, again, it's going to be violent. I do wonder, though, initially I had Sue winning the first fight, like when I previewed that. I think this one's quite different because there's always going to be that PTSD from the cut. There's always going to be that PTSD from the fact that Sue suffered a really bad knockout loss. It wasn't just one punch knockout; it was a battering over a couple rounds.
His whole career has been derailed a bit, innit? Like the stocks that he had completely tanked.
Yeah, and this is the fight to get it back. He gets that world title back. He rights that wrong. But can he overcome some of these issues? I have to see. Fundura has his issues. He's always had his issues. He's very hittable. He's quite tall, but he fights on the inside quite a lot. He can rearrange your face by fighting on the inside, but he opens himself up to getting hit. Like Brian Mendoza knocked him out. It wasn't like a lucky punch. That was you're coming in to throw uppercuts or hooks and quite close. I'm going to throw that large overhand right. It's going to land, and you're going to get put on your ass. And Sue can do that. Sue can definitely land those type of shots. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be bloody. I think there's going to be so much blood because the way these two fight. It's going to be very violent. I've picked a winner, and I think Sue might get it on decision, but it wouldn't surprise me if Fundura managed to stop Sue again. Sorry, because I think it's that close of a fight where both men have their jeopardies and both men have their strengths in this, and it's going to be quite fun. Adam, your thoughts on this fight?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, it's just really going to be echoing a lot of what you said. I think in the first fight, before the cut, Sue looked like he was going to absolutely dominate him. And there was a bit of a gap between the two. So if you were to weigh up both of these fighters at their best, I think Sue is the better boxer overall. But he's just had such a catastrophic 2024. And, like you said, this is going to be a mental battle for him. The cut with Fundura last time and what he had to go through in that fight, and then the demolition job that Murtazalia put on him. there's a lot of questions he needs to answer in his head. I think if we see Tsu back to his best, he should win this fight. But it's just about what his mental is like. His last fight is a good fight for him to kind of gain a bit of momentum with, but it wasn't a elite level caliber opponent by any stretch of the imagination. It's just, when you're having a drought and you pick up that 3 out of 10, it was one of those ones, right? But with this fight here, I think, it's all about his mental. Fundura's going to go there to have a fight. We know exactly how he fights. And there's going to be a lot of chances for both fighters to put punishment onto the other. They're both very hittable fighters. So I think us as fans watching it, we're in for a cracker of a fight. If Tsu gets the job done, I don't know. I'm edging Tsu to win this fight. But as you said, Fundora winning wouldn't be a surprise at all. Both more than capable of winning this fight.
Samps, revenge or repeat?
I don't know, because I did think Tsu would win originally, but obviously he sustained damage, and I do feel without that he would have won. And I do think he'd be very hungry. And I don't know, the thing about Fundora that I've always kind of found a bit weird, like he's a cheat code, isn't it? But he's not. Like if there's a champion you can beat or you wouldn't have faced, it would be him, because he has so many points where it's like, you can take him out to the body, like, and he fights small as well, like, and he gets hit and dropped. So I'm gonna go with Tsu. I think he gets revenge.
It's crazy because Fundura is taller than Usyk. He's taller than heavyweight champion.
Crazy.
Chris, revenge or repeat?
I'm gonna go repeat, man.
Right.
I don't know. Watching Tsu recently, it doesn't seem like he's the same fighter with the same confidence. And so, and I don't know, just maybe the height of Fundora and just the way he throws Fundora. I feel like he's going to take a lot of confidence from their first bout. And ultimately, rematches tend to go a similar way for the most part, or at least a similar direction especially towards like the ends of the fight. And I know Tsu had that cut and whatnot, but I feel like he's taken a lot of punishment, man. And I feel like it's taken a bit out of him as a boxer. I think it'll be close. Like, I wouldn't be surprised whichever way it goes. But I could just see Fundora stopping him. Maybe in a similar metric. I think points. I think if it does go all the way, I'm more inclined to lean towards Tsu, but I'm just not sure that's going to happen.
Fair enough. It's a good night of fights. Obviously, you got Jesse Rodriguez as well in the title unification bout as well, so that's going to be fun to watch. There's loads of fights to watch tonight. So make sure everyone you're strapped in, tuned in. From 5 p.m. until basically 5 a.m. because that's how long these fights will take, especially over in the US. And that's what we're here for. When it comes to boxing, we want to see the big fights. We want to see them regularly as often as we possibly can, and we want to have a big schedule. So we've got nights to look forward to. For those of you that are going to Usyk Dubois, you might see some of us there because we'll also be at Wembley Stadium watching that fight live. Hopefully not with too much rain, but we'll see. It looks like it's calmed down now, but yeah, we'll see. Enjoy tonight. And look, we'll be back soon to preview all of tonight, see how the results go. So make sure you tune in. Make sure to like and subscribe. Make sure to share this to all your friends. Friends that are going to be interested in watching Usyk Dubois and Fundura Tsu, for example. Share this pod to them today so they can have a little sneak preview into what could happen. Let us know your thoughts in the comments, and follow us on Twitter at Ringside Fracas and on Instagram at Ringside Fracas. And we will see you in the next one. Peace.
Sweet.